Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Oh, Terry, what'd you do?
What's up, YouTube? This
What did you
is
do?
2raw4tv. Unusual betting patterns surrounding the play of then Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier in a game nearly 2 years ago are now under investigation.
2 years ago.
Prosecutors.
How'd they find that?
2 years ago.
That led to the lifetime ban of Toronto Raptors player Jonte Porter.
Oh, shit.
The NBA
It's part of that investigation.
Today. The Wall Street Journal first reported the investigation.
Before he does it. What? I mean, he's probably had one of the worst years of his career, right? This year, like production wise.
Yeah.
Was he on the Hornets putting up fucking at least 15, right? 15 to fucking 20 points a game, right? And he went to Miami. I think he got a decent contract to do it, right? Like, oh, this is like an important additional piece, Terry Rozier. And he's kind of sucked ass this year, right? I think.
Yeah. I didn't want that.
God, I had no idea that this was going on. Was he going off on the fucking Hornets? Let me see his fucking
Yeah,
stats.
he was. He had a good year.
All right, this dude's he's saying 2 years ago, though, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago. What did he do?
Okay.
But they're saying it was like a stint of game.
Okay.
Where like there was, I think that's. Well, we should let 2raw.
Yeah, he's gonna go over the whole thing. But he was averaging 2 years ago. He's averaging 19, 20 points a game. Like
I think he's having a really good year then.
Yeah, he's been averaging 18, 20, 19, 21, 19, 23. Then 16 when he got to Miami, and then 12 this year on Miami.
But it's not about this year. It's about 2 years.
Yeah, and all his percentages have went down. He's had a bad year. Maybe he knows he's getting investigated. He's like, oh, shit. But all right, let's hear the explanation.
Toronto Raptors player Jonte Porter.
And
the NBA confirmed today. The Wall Street Journal first reported the investigation, noting that Rozier, who played for the Hornets on the date in question and now plays for the Miami Heat, has not been charged with a crime, nor has he been accused of wrongdoing. The NBA said it looked into the matter at the time and did not find that any league rules were broken.
What happened?
But the inquiry into Rozier is part of a wider government probe into a sprawling ring of gamblers and poker players who have allegedly rigged games across the sports landscape. People familiar with the investigation have stated.
This is some Ted Donahue shit, bro.
What?
In March of 2023, the league was alerted to unusual betting activity related to Terry Rozier's performance in a game between Charlotte and New Orleans. NBA spokesman Mike Bass said, the league conducted an investigation and did not find a violation of NBA rules. We are now aware of an investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York related to this matter and have been cooperating with that investigation. And it was actually a game March 23rd, 2023 with Charlotte against the Pelicans that is being probed by federal investigators. And U.S. Integrity notified sports books and the NBA that unusual wagers were coming in on Rozier failing to meet certain statistical benchmarks, such as the total number of points or rebounds he would record in the game. Some of the sports books stopped accepting bets on Rozier's stats that day, people familiar with the matter said. During the previous 2 seasons, U.S. Integrity sent out just 3 alerts about NBA games. People familiar with the matter said 2 of those were about games involving Porter. The other was the game involving Rozier. Rozier started for the Hornets against the New Orleans Pelicans that night, seemingly fit to play. He had been one of Charlotte's best players, averaging 35 minutes and 21 points a night. In this game, however, Rozier played just over 9 minutes before being substituted out during a timeout. He left with a foot injury and didn't return. Rozier would miss the remaining 8 games for the struggling Hornets, who at the time were owned by Michael Jordan. Authorities believe some of the people who arranged reported to fix his performance in 2 games last season had inside information that prompted them to bet large sums of money against Rozier a year earlier. The emergence of suspicious betting activity on another NBA game demonstrates that the scheme that resulted in Porter's expulsion and the government's investigation is more expansive than was previously known. The difference this time is that the person who attracted unusual wagers is far more prominent than Porter. A fringe player who spent his NBA career trying to hold on to a job. Rozier is an established presence who has been a solid contributor in the league for a decade and is partway through a contract that will pay him nearly $100 million. And the government's investigation will likely continue to grow. Authorities are exploring the gambling ring's potential ties to college basketball as well. People familiar with the probe said.
Oh
Look,
my god.
I don't want to make any aspersions toward Terry Rozier or anybody. But all you have to do.
Let me stop him there. I don't fucking know. I mean, being hurt, right? For that can happen where you play a little bit and you're like, fuck, I heard something, and you come out of the game. He didn't play the remainder of the games, right?
He
So,
did play for 9 more games, yeah.
which, like, did the doctors X-ray and be like, yeah? He's like, did they see anything, or were they like, okay, he is hurt, you're sitting out, or were they like, or was it management being like, okay, listen, our season's over, we're trying to tank, you're not playing anymore, you're like leading scorer or whatever the fuck he was, right? He's probably the leading scorer. They're like, okay, we're gonna bench you the rest of the season, and also, keep you healthy and not make the injury worse. I don't know. That doesn't sound crazy to me. But if they're saying the name's been thrown around in these rings, these apparently other gambling rings, then I don't fucking know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
But here more. I wonder if
People familiar with the probe said. Look, I don't want to make any aspersions toward Terry Rozier or anybody. But all you have to do is just watch the officiate, observe the officiating,
I
especially
agree.
in these games where I don't want to say bottom feeders, but in games where you might get the inclination that people aren't paying as much attention to the score or watching as many games, not as many eyeballs are on these certain games, and some of these calls are just atrocious. And I'm gonna tell you something too. I definitely noticed that over the past 2 to 3 years, the officiating is trying to cut down on the number of blowout games. But then, I mean, there's definitely, I can't say this for certain, but just from observation, you definitely get the impression that whenever a team is, for the most part, and there's always going to be exceptions. There are going to be guys or stretches where teams are just shooting like crazy. Guys just can't miss nonstop, and you're going to have
That's
them blow.
They're all chucking.
He was out quick.
Yeah.
I also question that. To be honest with you. Also question that. That's just conspiracy theory shit, but I question that too. Is that on the up and up?
That's fair. That's fair.
I have I got no evidence or nothing, but I wonder sometimes.
I mean,
Because, let me ask you, okay, a player is doing well, but then a whole team, a whole lineup is doing well at the same time. Not saying it can't happen, because it clearly can. I'm just saying, it seems like when it's one, it's everybody.
yeah.
And remember the Heat what was it 2023? Like when they went to the finals, it was like either they all miss or they all make it. There was no in between. Like yeah, Jimmy had games where he was going off, and he had supplementary role players putting in work. But some games it would be everyone. Like against that Celtics series, it was like, bro, this shit they can't stop. And then the Celtics, what they got 3 in a row to make it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Game 6, Game 7. They forced Game 7, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not. You know what I mean? Like, I always leave room for nah, man. It's too far fetched. Like, it just happened. It's organic, but I don't know. So, Sun just doesn't sit right with me sometimes with these stat sheets with these threes and shit. The Sun doesn't sit right with him. It's no different than like it's more clear in the MLB when they juice the ball. Like obviously they tighten the ball they tighten the ball more, meaning it
Yep.
would fly farther.
Yep.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Damn. Could they do something physically that could impact? I don't know. I can't think of what that would be, honestly, other than
You know
magnets.
what I mean? Like yeah, man.
I'm sure.
I'm just talking shit, bro. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's something behind it.
Now, okay, you know why girls' basketballs are smaller, right? Because it makes it easier for it to go in.
Yeah. Are you
Maybe.
saying deflate gate? Are you saying there's a deflate gate in the NBA?
I'm throwing guesses out there of what they could be doing physically, right? Now, I'm not even leaning towards that as like an answer. I look more at like, if this guy is like on fire shooting, you just let him do his thing. You get out of his way. Everyone else, though, maybe call fouls for them to get them free throws or something. Like, you just read who's hot and who's cold, right? And you could fucking help them get to certain plateaus. Maybe they have a score sheet that they're like, okay, this guy, like, he can score 12, but he can't score 40, right? So we'll let him get his 12 points doing this or that. We'll whatever, right? Like, almost like predetermined, like drawing out stat sheets. Like, okay, this guy can get to here and this guy can get to there, right? To like kind of like if I add all these scores up together, this is the final score. Like, oh, it's a 3-point game or a 5-point game or whatever the fuck, right? Like I could see something shady like like that's a very shady idea. But I'm just saying, like, if there's this idea of rigging happening, it could be something like that, or it could be on the fly, right? Where it's like, damn, Tatum ain't making his threes, but in order for their team to keep the game close or even win it, he needs to get his 20 points or something like that because he's gonna be taking a lot of shots. So maybe call some fouls here or there. Maybe we call fouls on the guy he's guarding, at different points in the game. Maybe offensive fouls, maybe something stupid. Maybe there's a good big man that's lock it down the paint. Maybe call some fucking screen or offensive fouls on illegal screens and shit like that. Like, I could see it, and it has happened. That's not like something out of the fucking norm. That has happened. That's what Tim Donaghy, like, he was predicting those patterns from referees that the league's gonna favor these teams one day, or be against this team another day, or favor this player or against that player, and he made bets based on that. So that's not alien, bro. They could definitely move games in different directions based on shit like that.
Well, the officiating. Yeah, I understand. The officiating definitely is 100% on the table for being the major culprit. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and let's be real. There's a lot of shit that every fan's not paying attention. Like, they're not picking up on fouls that are happening in the first quarter. This happens when I'm fan dueling, and when I'm like, I got this guy for 8 rebounds, and he gets 2 fouls in the first quarter. You don't see him again until like halfway through the second quarter. It's like, fuck. And I can't tell what types of fouls are they. Ticky tack fouls, or like we don't see every little game, right? So you don't fucking even know what's going on.
Yeah, but when we watch these games, it's like, Bam's got 3 fouls in the first quarter. It's like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. It's like, he's out for the half, basically. It's like crazy. That dude has been weird this year too. Like, there's something to that shit, man. And it might be it may be less for like prop betting and more for getting teams to keep games close to get more attention or more, ratings and shit like that. Make the game more appealing. But it does affect player stats too. It does. Like if Miami, if Bam Adebayo is projected to dominate this other team's center to where it ends up being like a blowout game, and he gets 3 fouls in the first, like that wipes him out of the first half of the game, and the game gets to be close, or maybe the other team takes a big lead. Then Bam comes back, and boom, the lead fucking shortens, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I could see it on that level, 100%. The physical one, I don't know how. I wouldn't know how it would work. Bigger hoops, smaller basketballs. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Magnets, fuck it, throw it in there. FanDuel magnets. But alright.
I think it sometimes we fuck around and like we're joking and shit. But like, yo, man, thumbs up.
Weather machines during NFL games that blow kicks left and right and shit.
Yep.
The wind turns on all of a sudden, knocks the ball. Oh god. All right, area.
Guys just can't miss nonstop, and you're going to have these blowouts. But a couple of years ago, you might recall, and this happened in the playoffs, since the league's become more and more about three-point shooting, and now that you can't really guard people, it's almost impossible to stop the three-point shot. It just kind of try to make the shots less quality. There were a lot of blowouts. Remember that playoff year? I think it was like maybe 4 years ago. It was like a lot of blowouts in the playoffs. And I remember also like 2017 or something like that, there was a lot of blowouts. And you started seeing a lot more blowouts during the regular season. I noticed that the officials, when a team's like is just ready to go on a run, they'll try to all of a sudden now make calls to go against a team that has the momentum, trying to bring the
that's
game
another
back
one.
into a certain score, like
Yeah.
a certain zone, like keep the lead within 15 to 20 points and not let it get out of control. Now that could be they have orders from the officials, from the front office, to say that, hey, let's try to keep this game as competitive as possible. But there's also, my suspicion that some of these officials
individually
are trying to manipulate the score because they have bets on them. Now,
the first half of what he just said is proven. There is proof, straight up, of them trying to keep scores close and shit like that. Now, the idea of refs, like,
individually
prop betting, how could you not consider that? How could you not consider that as a possibility? As like an everyday sports fan, bro. With any sport, how could you not consider the officiating being like somewhat, like there could be at least one guy out there maybe like fucking, getting his cousin's wife's brother's, college kid to fucking put bets in for them and shit and fucking, right? So it's like, you gotta imagine.
Well, there's also like I think a lot of times I definitely viewed it like that for a while, where like you kind of view these refs as if they're like there to protect and serve, and they got a badge. And I don't necessarily think like they're human beings. They're not. There's no way they can be on all the time with that kind of discipline.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like no different than a cop. Like yeah, is it just a job or is it? I mean, I wouldn't say it's just a job. Like you got to know the sport. You got to be kind of you got to kind of love the sport to do the job in a sense.
Yeah.
But then it's like, yo, do you love the sport enough to fucking like have like your own thoughts on? Hey, I mean, because think about it like this: the same way Jonte Porter did what he did is the same way a ref would look at the game too, where it's like even more so.
Mm-hmm.
Or a ref can see the the what's it called, the minutia behind the game, like where
Yeah.
they're the student of the game. They know how the fucking sausage is made in
Exactly.
every fucking way, and it's like it could be it doesn't have to necessarily be a great thing. It could be a pride thing. Like, nah, like it's like I don't know, like a beautiful mind kind of thing. Like they just see the shit like, nah, no, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. And if I do this, this player's gonna react this way. Like they know the player better than the player knows
Oh
themselves.
my.
You know what I mean, bro? Does it make
Seeing,
sense?
seeing calculations and shit.
Yes.
Oh fuck.
If I push this player, if I push Chris Paul's button in this way, he's gonna do this.
Oh
If I
fuck.
call this foul on Russell Westbrook, he's gonna do that.
Bro, they could do like 4-point swings and give the team the ball. Like, if, let's say Chris Paul is guarding someone, they go for a layup and they make it, and they call some sort of like some phantom fucking foul. He's like, "Yo, what did I do?" You know, Chris Paul's gonna react as soon as you see it. Like, you give him a tech, boom. So,
Yeah,
so
the
they get the
tech
and
is a big
one,
one.
they get the technical foul, and they get the ball back. That's a fucking swing and a half. That could be
And
6 to 8 point swing, bro.
imagine the ref being able to calculate what that swing's gonna be when he does it.
Exactly. But, right?
Imagine the ref, like imagine it literally, yo, 2raw, what did 2raw say? Yo, this is getting worse than WWE. In like at its core, like when WWE was fucking like the shit, you would say that, oh, it's artistry. It's showing you something preordained and making it real. Why can't the refs also do that? Why can't they know something's preordained? Why can't they know they have a game plan and then execute it, but at the same time have a fucking steel face, poker face, where it's
Yeah,
like, nah, it's like there's no way. Look how the refs acting. Look like, but deep down, you don't know what deep down inside what that human being is actually experiencing at that moment,
yeah,
or how they're manipulating their emotions, or how good are they at manipulating their emotions.
exactly.
Where it's like, oh, like how many times you hear the announcer like, oh, like yeah, like, I wouldn't call it a tech on that. Or
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, come on now. Why? Why would a fan or a analyst or whoever have that thought in their head? And yet at the same time, you wouldn't question you wouldn't question that it's nefarious. You question it instinctively. It is kind of nefarious, even if it's a true emotion. Where like, oh, he's letting the refs get an ego get in the way, and that's and in there is the 50-50 ball. Is it ego or is it something else?
God damn, bro. I feel like I just took like a fucking science class. It's like there's like a formula forming right there. What the fuck?
Dude, I don't know.
I,
Things I think about.
I mean, like, officially, from the Tim Donaghy shit, officially, like, it is rigged. Like, if you want to, like,
It is
loosely
rigged.
use the term rigged,
Yes.
it is rigged. Because that dude was getting a success rate that no one else was fucking getting. That's why he got caught. The success rate was probably, like, crazy, where they're making a shit ton of money because he's predicting the outcomes of games. He's
That's
not
why I'm
controlling them.
saying,
He's just predicting
yeah,
because he knows who's going to, like, he knows the refs want this to be called, or the commissioner
yes.
wants this called tonight,
The
or
commissioner is
whatever.
the commissioner is imploring you to have that mentality anyways.
Exactly.
He's already telling you to have that mentality. And it's
Uh,
like that's what I'm saying. I think we talked about this before, like when Jonte Porter shit. But it's like you're trying to you're trying to tell human beings to be black and white about something that has so much nuance.
yeah.
And like deep down inside, that's part of the job occupation to exert neutrality, but inward it's nothing close to neutrality. It's the opposite of neutrality.
Yeah.
So it's like that's like a fucking yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Mhm.
It's a hard thing to navigate. And it could be even worse than we think. It could be, yo, Adam Silver knows this shit, but Adam Silver's like, he's trying to keep a lid on that too.
What's crazy is we have no recourse in regards to any of this shit, bro. Fans get nothing.
No,
You see all that? Everyone making videos about the fucking Chiefs and Bills, like yo, rigged, referees rigged, yada yada yada, right? Nothing happens from that from
Nothing
the
happens.
fucking
They
fans
do rule
doing that
changes.
shit.
Yeah, they do rule changes. They mop it up, whatever. There's no. It's like whatever. It's like, yo, the owners don't seem as pissed off as we are.
Boxing, UFC, when they're crazy fucking scoring and shit, where it's like, what? That doesn't make sense.
I feel like no one even cares about the UFC score.
Gamblers do. People in Vegas, they definitely care. But all right, let's let 2raw finish up here. Pause.
I say allegedly, and I can't prove this, but we already have a precedent for this, right? We already have an NBA official who served time for sports betting. Then, even though the NBA tried to be slick with it, remember there was an official a couple of years ago that actually retired, so to speak, or left the NBA.
Javi?
It was the same guy that was a Celtic fan. It was proved that he was a Celtic fan. His family all had Celtics jerseys. And
have you heard of this?
Came out.
I haven't heard of this.
Remember I did a video where it was when Miami was going up against Boston in the playoffs, and Jimmy Butler had made a crucial late, I think ultimately game-deciding basket, and you could see that official react with disgust. We
need to find this after this video. We need to find that shot. That sounds absolutely hilarious.
Remember? So yeah, I definitely think that there's some corruption going on, and we look at the fact that the NBA did their quote-unquote investigation and saw nothing wrong, and then you see that the federal investigation is going on the way with federal prosecutors, and they see something that they think is not right. So,
oh my God,
is the NBA guilty of a cover-up? Are they guilty of covering up something? You tell me. Yeah, like you said, the article saying Terry Rozier is not a fringe guy. He, at one point in time, was one of the better guards in the Eastern Conference.
Scoring-wise, yes.
How widespread is this? I think it's very widespread, honestly.
I
think that sports betting is something that is done. Obviously, it's legal in most states, but I do think that there's some
it's subtle.
Illegal sports betting going on. I think there's some players involved. I do. There's some things that we see that just don't make any sense. Some of these guys just play atrociously bad. Then you have guys who seemingly are hurt out of nowhere. Like, look.
Hey, man. I'm going to leave it there with 2raw. He's making good points again. Because we were talking about this, like a week or so ago, about Zach LaVine, where he's like, he wants to be up for a trade. All of a sudden, he's dropping 30-point games.
30.
One after the other. It's like, what? So you weren't trying the rest of the season? Like, what happened?
He's going off.
Like, it's just weird. Like, how does that happen, dude? And we be making fun of, he's FanDueling tonight, where I'm like, all right, here comes,
He looked hungover.
This dude's hungover. This girl broke up with him. Something happened. This dude's just having he's just sad. Making some of the stupidest plays. I watched Karl-Anthony Towns, these are some of the dumbest fouls of all time. Like, you realize you're the center for the fucking Knicks, right? And they need you. He's like a rebounding machine, right? He gets double every fucking game. He's getting double-doubles. This one game, though, where he's all of a sudden just making stupid foul, on the perimeter with, it's like if you're gonna go for shot blocks, right? But your center's out there getting reach-in fouls on guards, all the way, all the way at the 3-point line, getting fucking fouls. Like, that makes no sense basketball-wise. So it's like, I don't know. I'm wrecked, man. Some shit does not look right when I'm watching these games, man. They make no sense. But,
from January 1st to January 12th, he went off.
Bizarre. Was it just straight up trade things? I don't know. But it's whatever. I could believe anyone and on anything now. Like, it is what it is with sports. Especially if you FanDuel or you do any sports gambling shit. I mean, you're going to pick some guys some days and be like, yo, how did that not happen? Your mind's going to be wrecked. And if you go back and if you watch the game of how, like this don't look right, bro. This shit don't make sense. So, but it is what it is. I could be just paranoia about it or whatever, but I think it's fair to say it's enough to start scratching around for further evidence. But anything else you want to say, Ant, for I end this fucking
No,
thing?
no, I'm done.
All right. There's our little reaction to Raw.